Alright, welcome back to the UK Open Live. Once again, I am Ewan, joined here by the lovely John. Say hello to the people, John.
Hey, all you peeps out there. Hope you're all good and going.
We have another banger of a matchup prepared for you here. We've got Hololive against the new Idolmaster set. Two decks, if you've been out of the loop for a little bit, you might be completely unfamiliar with what's going on, but don't worry, we're here to guide you through it.
Very true. We'll saltily take you through everything, and it's sort of a nice grudge match between sort of effectively the musical stylings of Idolmaster Shiny Colors versus the VTuber Apocalypse facing him down.
To quickly glance through the Hololive deck list, we've got an 8-choice list here. So Hololive, it's a brand new set, and there are, I believe, something in the region of 250 cards in this set.
It's a staggering amount of cards in the set.
And because of that, the meta is all over the place. People haven't landed on builds. I've spoken to 10 different people, and I've heard 10 different opinions about what's good, what's bad. So our player Angus here, he's gone with a level 2 combo. There's no change. It's not Summer Pockets. It's just a straight play at level 2.
Oh wow!
On reverse, choose 2 characters, put them into stock in any order, and then salvage 1.
Sort of a nice throwback to sort of the old sort of Monogatari days, if you so will, of him just sort of effectively getting anything from his waiting room and just jam it in his stock. A very sort of a bit. If you've known him for a while, it is very fitting of this player's play style.
Absolutely. And then a level 3, we've got the combo that I think most people are trending towards this being the choice. I know some people are very outspoken against it, but it's the pay 1, drop 1 as many times as you choose, up to 5. And then perform an Icy Tail, so bottom 3 cards of your opponent's deck go into waiting room, and then burn for the number of climaxes there.
Is that the Coco level 3?
I
if
believe
memory
so.
serves? I'm not up to date on the VTubes, but I think I remember that one.
Yeah, so you perform that effect as many times as you pay the cost plus 1. So you can do it for free, or you could do it 6 times.
And I think we might have to cut the analysis a bit short, but Jamie is on shiny colours, and we're getting all ready. It looks like we're there, ready to go, slamming. So we'll have to sort of analyse Jamie Dello's Idolmaster as we go along.
Yeah, as we go into the game, and it looks like the players are ready here and set up. Tell us a little bit about this Idolmaster set, because I'm familiar with the older Idolmasters, but not this new one, and it's not Neo standard, correct?
It is sort of well, I would class Idolmaster sort of like the older sort of sets, like Little Busters and what, as a set mess. It has such a ridiculous amount of stuff it can access itself into, and sort of restrictions that you have to be placed on. It is quite difficult, though. We are seeing sort of our players getting ready. We're dropping forth from Jamie Della right there. So I would say I'll have to effectively enlighten you as we go along. Though it is the Idol, from what I know of Idolmaster shiny colours, it is exactly like the VTuber hell. There is so many different variations. I have heard our good old friend Roy Dosan, fresh from Japan, give me certain analysis of the set, and each time he tells me a different card.
So one thing I would like to just quickly say about the mulligan, I've been out of the game for about 3, maybe 4 years now. Certainly out of competitive, but obviously during lockdown, I've not played any Weiss at all. And I don't really keep up with any of the new sets, so I don't have a clue what anyone's deck does at this event. But I would say for the mulligan, obviously it's an 8-choice deck, so you want to, if possible, get rid of at least one or two soul triggers, just in case you trigger that choice, you can get the value out of it. Similarly to how if you're playing like a gate or a pants, you'd want to discard the card you can add back, so you get full value out of triggering a climax with the early attacks.
So it's another set with a lot of depth, you would say.
Possibly
you may want to change your mulligan based on your opponent's set, but as you say, I was kind of going into this one blind.
And as we can see here, just cranking each other's heads over at this early stage in the game. I'm guessing they're playing. Which VTuber is this one? Is this the nurse one?
I'm afraid I'm not familiar with VTubers' names. You're going to have to bear with us on that.
We might have to come up with our own nicknames for these characters. I believe she's a maid, if I'm wrong. I'm very, very sorry to all you VTuber fans.
So just like this, first attack reveals a choice, and I couldn't discard a trigger in my opening hand, so we don't get any value out of that, and also I've buried it right at the bottom, unfortunately.
Data Live deck off the beaten track. This might be more something more familiar for you.
I believe I decided to tri-field this one because it's a standby deck, so I don't want to give them like a lot of time to set up their level 1s, or to fill their waiting room with brainstorms and things like that. I got a little unlucky. I wanted to use the second effect of the Watame, where if it damage is cancelled, it goes to stock, but I got the wrong attack, basically. I attacked with the Watame second, but it was actually my third attack that cancelled.
Almost every card has a foil version. It is shiny in every member of the word.
Truly the shiniest colors.
Only the shiniest colors.
I like that they're talking about shiny colors having a foil for every card, but not the fact that Hololive, with its, as they said, 250 cards, every single one comes in foil. Unfortunately, on the day, a lot of my shiny cards had not arrived, so my deck's not as shiny as I would like it to be, but also nowhere near as shiny as it could be, because I do not have that sort of money.
As we can see, he has got the standard sort of tools you would expect of a standby, being able to look at the top 3 cards of his deck, figure out what's coming up, rearrange if he so needs be.
So the level 0 is pretty quick. I just took quite a lot of damage.
Playing his standby, being able to refresh his field with a nice bigger one.
And I think I didn't actually get much of a level 1 setup. I think it was enough, but it wasn't absolutely loads.
I'm very much a big fan of the whole, I'm going to replace my board with a bigger board and still retain some nice hand. So, we are seeing a nice fast game, a level 1 there from Angus. Does he wish to actually get up to level 2 to play that combo? Or is there a way to...
I would say going in blind, I would usually prefer to have the level 1 Mel over the Coco. The Mel technically generates more stock if things go well, but the Coco guaranteed generates sort of 4 stock a turn. If you try field Cocos and use all their effects, you get 4 stock a turn, as opposed to potentially 6, but more likely than not, like you're probably going to hit 1 out of 3, maybe 2, with the Mel. And also, the Mel is just bigger in your opponent's turn, which can matter if I don't know what my opponent's level 1 combo is. If it's non-reversed, then I'd prefer to have a big card. I would say that maybe the absolute optimal is like 1 Coco 2 Mel, because then you can pay out a climax if you hit 1. But here I think I wasn't really able, I didn't get a turn to set up really, and I only brought 1 Aqua and I didn't want to go for another one. So I didn't really have a huge level 1 setup, but I still had 2 of my zeros on the field, so we just swing. But here you go. As you can see on this attack, I triggered a choice. And because I have the Coco, I can now pay out that choice instantly. I think it didn't matter on this one because I think I might have hit a second choice. Yeah, I did.
Every deck does feel both unique and quite sort of very decent in its way it wants to do it. There's no sort of bad combinations that you could, well, reasonably roll with the characters that you would enjoy wanting to play. Everything is sort of nice, does what it needs to be doing, and then you can obviously, if needs be, crank into what you would consider your overpowered finisher.
This is a pretty rough position for a standby deck to be in, to have its board completely wiped, because there's no advantage combo in this list as there would be in a more traditional list. He just has to rely on brainstorms, drawing for turn.
Very, very true. This is not what you would want. Well, not even turn 0 effectively. What you would want in your standbys. He's not really been able to build up a nice big field and crank right into that. He's had to play to a different set of tunes from these VTubers.
One of his level 2s that he's looking for, he gets the stock back when he plays it if there's a full field. So he is trying to build the beefiest board one has ever seen in order to guarantee that effect goes off.
Yeah, my opponent's just explaining the change combo to me.
More standbys. Oh, another standby. Let's see.
So he's basically just hit the nuts at this point.
There it is, right on cue.
I mean, obviously, yes, he's triggered a climax that he's now going to kind of bury, but
It's a 2-1.
it's still pretty nice because he will be able to pay it out on the next turn. And as you see, I'm just eating every single piece of damage, and he's not really.
Standby, I would say, is a very sort of Eastern family. You don't, not as with others, you wouldn't want to trigger it.
Here I'm somewhat deciding if I want to use the Aqua. I don't know if I'm set up enough for an early level 2 play, and I decide I do want to because I remembered that I had a Climax as a top card of my stock. Now, I should say the Aqua puts a card on the bottom of your clock, but being as it would level me anyway, it didn't matter where it went, because it's just going back to the waiting room instantly anyway.
Maybe, if they're planning their turn during your turn, their plans can be thrown off. They have to go, oh wait, I was thinking of taking this line, but all of a sudden the board state's changed. I was looking at empty slots, now I'm looking at beefy 2-1 bodies.
It is a ridiculous sort of play of events. It does sort of, like, as we were saying in our previous game, it warps your play style. You have to play to a different tune. It's no longer, I'm going to crank level 1 combo against level 1 combo. Suddenly you have these big walls facing you down. You've got to figure out what battles you can take, what ones you can't. Does his bin have access to more big ones that you can call out? What cards are in there?
So here I'm just digging for more of my level 2s. So I decide to play over an Aqua to try and dig 2 cards deeper into my deck. And it's worth noting you can do this because Aqua says when it goes to waiting room, not when it's reversed.
So on death, you pay 1, you send it to the bottom of clock, and then you look at the top 2 cards and add as many as you want.
Very, very interesting sort of card, that.
It's just strict advantage. I think it's one of the cards that's absolutely kind of creme de la creme of the set. Nearly every player's looked at it and gone, "This is a +2." It's very good.
So I messed up here. I kind of forgot the tower said level 1 or lower because every other card in the set says level 1 or higher. And I didn't like really pay attention to what my top 2 cards were. I looked at them and then just put them back and then thought, oh, actually I have a play that plays around this. So that's a small mistake. Probably isn't going to matter in the long run, but here I'm just making sure I have enough power. So the Matsuri procs the Mel's effect. Basically, the Matsuri giving it 1/5 and the Mel giving herself 2k. So it gets to about 11 plus the climax. I just want to make absolutely sure I'm reversing this character, being as that's going to be the only advantage I get for the rest of the turn. And I refresh the deck. I lose out on the salvage, but being as I have a full hand anyway, I prefer just to get the higher chance of 2 stock.
So it's a pretty neat advantage engine.
Here I'm deciding because what you can do is you can take one of the cards and put it into stock and then discard it and then salvage the card you've just discarded. I was just double checking whether or not I wanted to get another level 2 for next turn. But I think it was, well, I decided against it because I'd rather have the stock and I don't guarantee you get the climax back, so I didn't want to try it. Because as I say, my hand's full anyway. So now my opponent's hit level 2, he can start doing his change combos effectively. He's in like a perfect place at this point, right? He's got a fully stocked waiting room, very few cards in deck. And he's just had really nice cancels the whole game. You know, he's we're now even on turns, right? Because he went first. So we've each had the same number of turns, whatever that is, 4 maybe at this point. And I'm 3 damage behind, basically. Now, I think at this point, yeah, he only had 1 of the change, so it's not going as nice for him as he would have liked, but still pretty good. And that's where I lose all my level 0 aquas. Which is, well, I saw 2 this game, so I guess I can't say I didn't really have them. But as you can see, I've cancelled about 2 attacks, I think, the entire game. I'm just sort of hemorrhaging health at this point. This is me just telling my opponent that Tower is a level assist as well. And
standby with a level advantage is crazy. That's a real deficit.
This is a very, very high wall Angus now has to go up against. He is a whole level behind. No, the door's not completely closed yet. He's got a nice healthy amount of stock.
We're still playing Weiss Schwarz here. Let's not forget. But especially, I do think that Hololive's weakness is in its finisher lineup. This finisher in particular doesn't have a ton of reach. It's just a lot of instances, and it's not cheap to get numerous instances either. So it's not a great catch-up mechanic. Definitely can't kill from 2-0. I don't think many finishers in the game can, but this one definitely cannot.
It would be quite the miracle if he indeed could catch up that hard.
So here at this point, I'd looked through my waiting room, realized I had 1 climax in waiting room, and kind of went, I've got another turn here. So I can use my Watame to set up. The Watame using both of its effects can technically get you any card in the waiting room. Provided you have, obviously, the stock and, in some cases, discard fodder. So I figured on average, being as my deck was about halfway gone and there were still 7 in deck, chances are I was going to live at least one more turn, and I couldn't kill this turn, as they've been saying, so I had to play for my next turn. Here I made the choice to discard the backup because I didn't have stock to be playing it anyway, and I would rather not reverse his characters if I could help it anyway, because I want to do Coco combo, which isn't on reverse.
He should be able to reverse this 1/1 lane at the very least.
One thing I will say, which I guess I didn't mention earlier, is it's very important to have green in your level, really, for the tower. Here I was double checking powers of things because I would like to reverse them if possible. And this is where I made some indecisions here because everything was gaining so much power. I kept forgetting what he told me each one was on.
You pay the cost on reverse. So if he swings a bit last, he could still pay for it 3 times and therefore use 4 instances.
So I have the climax here, as we just saw, because I salvaged it with the Watame. So we're now 6 in deck. So I just decided not to play this turn, basically. Because as I say, that I can't kill him from... well, not with no stock. I can't kill him from 2-0. So I've got to play for a second attacking turn.
This game has gone blisteringly quickly, I have to say.
Very true. It's sort of what I would consider the archetypical. If your standby goes well, this is the game you want to play.
Absolutely. Aspiring standby players, maybe take some shuffling notes from this game.
Very, very true. Shuffle those.
I got reasonably lucky here in that I was hitting a fair amount of triggers. So he just played. I was swinging for 3, and he played a neg 3 soul. Sort of forgot that meant it was 0, and then revealed top cards for damage. When oh no, it was 0, but then it was draw anyway, so it didn't really change the state of the game.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about standby,
I think I did 2 damage that turn, swinging with 3 level 3s. So this was sort of just how the game was.
Stuck on level 2 and just a vibe.
Very, very true. This is everything Jamie wants and more. He has an extra turn at level 2. He doesn't need to push much further. He's got his opponent to level 3.
So I'm in the awkward spot where I'm down. I don't really have the stock for like a nice Coco combo. Ideally, I'd like to play 2 Cocos and get probably about 7 instances the effect off between them.
Good effect, Union from Konosuba. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. There have been discussions about
But I don't think I did that even once the entire day. It was mostly just solo Coco, swinging and winning.
Look at this double change with the double clean stock. So even having used all of those resources this turn, it's just right back there and it's all clean.
Absolutely horrible. This is really unfair.
As someone who's never really had access to I'll come back to that thought. So this is what I was saying. I had 6 in about 15 cards maybe. So it was very likely that even if I don't cancel every attack, I don't die. So I was just playing around it. So what they're saying is because the Coco combo is on reverse, you deny, you leave your lanes open, so there's nothing to reverse. But the Toa gets around that anyway, so it's honestly not even worth it. unless it's your only choice anyway. Like you don't, as soon as that tower's on the field, you just don't care. Not if you're going to keep 2 back row at least. Clearing 1 lane is very irrelevant because you're never going to get triple cocoa. Well, especially not when I've got 4 stock. So here I'm kind of doing the maths. I've got to do, what's that, 9 damage? 7. No, I've got to do about 12 damage. And he's got quite a lot of climaxes left in deck still. And I just kind of go, well, I can't do 12 damage. I've got to play for another turn. It's just not happening.
Some top players have really enjoyed about the Coco top end is you only need to field one of it. Because you can pay for the effect as many times. You're not trying to field it as a lot of other finishers you are. So, yeah. Some of the more pessimistic players are saying like, oh, that means you can play some of the actually good level 3s in those lanes. But, you know, the more positively inclined will say, like, it gives you more options. It gives you the room to go for 2-turn kills like this.
Very true. And there we see him grabbing the Coco back. So he only has to put that one in a lane and just reverse it. But what other tricks does he effectively want?
So we bet out a climax, and I'm stock swapping him.
I think he's choosing to hold that Coco back for next turn. I think that's a foil variant of a different card.
I would say that's a quite ambitious.
That's a stock swap there. Considering there were 2 standbys in Jamie's stock there, I don't know how worthwhile that really was.
So
it is sort of a usual sort of pitfall, I would say, where you're blinded by the stock flush. That my opponent has stock. Let's just flush that.
So I knew there were 2 in his stock.
Jamie's wasn't close to refresh, so those 2 climaxes being there wasn't.
There were 2 in stock and 2 in waiting room, which probably meant there were 3 or 4 in deck. So it was fairly likely that I at least went even. And even if I get 1 extra damage from forcing a refresh, it's worth it to stock swap there.
Very ambitious turn, I would say, on choosing this line of play rather than the Coco. Maybe even.
But being as I wasn't really going to be playing the Coco this turn anyway, because I wouldn't have a way of getting. Yeah, I wouldn't have had lethal anyway. So this was a bit of a knuckle biter. I think I'm out 4 climaxes instantly on the refresh. 1 in hand, 1 waiting room, 1 clock, and then 1 bin. Not bin, sorry, 1 stock. And through that he cancelled 3 times also. So this was basically the exact worst possible outcome.
This is ridiculous. This is almost death by 1,000 cuts to Hololive.
To be fair, by all rights, I should be absolutely dead here.
Because it means I get to share some more time with my co-commentator, John.
Oh, very true. It's a lovely day here in Kovo. A slightly bit overcast, but hey, it ain't raining. So in England, we consider that a success.
Absolutely. And yeah, what better use of the weather than staying inside and playing some anime card games?
I would consider it no greater fun than being inside and playing card games. And looking a bit thin there from Jamie, trying to block himself up, actually get himself, which was sort of what I would consider a usual pitfall in standby. Well, you can.
So at this point, my opponent tells me there are 8 climaxes going back in, and I realize that my stock swap, even though there were 4 in the deck, hit 0. So I've just compressed him, basically. So this whole game, you could say, obviously, being as it's a win, it went in my favor, but every single choice sort of didn't.
besides that, you kind of
My only real
felt janky.
out to this game is now luck that 3 climaxes near the top, or my opponent somehow manages to do 1,000 damage to himself, which, to be fair, he probably's done about as much damage to himself over the course of the game that I have, based on the cancels. So he's just pushing his people forward now because he's just refreshed. He can't change into his actual good cards, and we get a bit lucky here and hit enough cancels to live for a turn. But he's got 1 card, so we're not double Coco him either way. I see I have 3 Coco in my hand, so I can just get rid of 1 because it doesn't matter. But this is where I decide that there is no third turn. We've got to go now, and it's either going to happen or it isn't. There is no manipulating what, swinging with a 1 soul instead of a 2 soul. We're just going.
I can't keep sitting here hoping that my opponent swings for 1/1/1 and I cancel 2.
So we're going guarantee the reverse. And now I'm out of climaxes in deck as well, I believe. And he cancels. But now, because the Coco is on reverse and not on attack, I have 5 stock after her attack finishes. Thankfully this sticks. So 6 damage is very doable.
5 times.
Yeah, there is no second turn, so there's no holding stock, there's no holding hand, there's just going.
Nothing on the first.
So
Second one, we have 1.
Burns for 1, that sticks.
There's another one.
One that pings off the top. Nothing on the 4th.
So his climax distribution is just kind of ridiculous for this. It would be nicer for him, I suppose. If he just hit 3 climax on the first one, it's a lot safer. But only 2 have hit and 1 of them have cancelled, which is pretty good, honestly, for a compressed deck.
Remember, he has to finish the effect first before he takes his compulsory damage.
Yeah, I believe that is the case. Again, we're not judges, we're just players. Lovers of the game.
Very true. So, if you are aware of the actual judge ruling, please.
So what they're saying is correct. You have to finish the full effect, so every single instance before you take the refresh damage, because it's all 1 effect. So this is, I think, the first time I've cut my opponent's deck the whole game, and I thought we'll leave it down to sort of absolute luck. Top card, not a climax. Second card, climax. That is the perfect, and I think I needed exactly that to win this game. And just like that, we push through.
We have gone from Jamie being in the driving seat that entire game.
Oh no, look at this shuffle.
Oh, the compression once again, like in our first game, becoming a lie.
What an incredible game.
It was staggering. Like, we saw that very rushed early game from both players, and then just sort of grinding a bit to the end. Angus sort of teetering on the verge of death for a good few turns, and Jamie sort of not being able to sort of deliver that hammer blow.
I'm so impressed by that finishing combo. I think that's it. Maybe if you wrote it off, if you think it's a little gimmicky, a little cheesy, give it a second look. Look how great it was.
It was a.
It was like a double Cococino on 1 card. It's incredible.
What he has obviously been able to save in room space for others, he has vastly capitalized on that Coco finish, and now sealed him that victory right there.
Alright, well, thank you for joining us for these games. We're gonna go to a lunch break. We'll be back in 45 minutes, an hour or so. welcome back to the UK Open Live. We're here in top 8. I am, as ever, Ewan, and I am joined, as ever, by John.
Once again, another round, another game, another person sent down and one elevated high to that glorious crown. One step closer to that glorious victory and claiming the trophy.
If you've been following us all day, these are two returning players. We've got Angus on Hololive and Sammy D on ReZero.
Very, very true. We have Idols versus Elf. Who is going to take who down? Well, Angus is a very seasoned player. Really plays much, but when he does turn up, he usually brings a nice, spare, sort of interesting deck. And he has definitely chosen the most interesting at the moment, which is this Hololive deck indeed. Fresh off the press, you can practically feel the new.
Yeah, I think that this ReZero deck is starting to show its age a little bit. So it's kind of a nice, like, you know, bookending of like one of the last sets to come out before lockdown started and one of the first sets to come out now that lockdown's kind of fully over and people are playing at these big events again.
Very true. Even though it is a bit of an older set compared to Hololive, it is still being able to roll with the punches and deliver them back nicely. So to see if Sammy can actually bring himself that step closer, or if Angus, pretty much almost reigning champion out of Swiss, can deny him that glorious victory and get himself a sweet trophy to come back with.
We've already talked about both these deck lists at length in the VOD, so if you're interested in that analysis, you can dig that up. But for now, it looks like the players are ready. Let's head straight into the game.
Very, very true. We can just get straight into that. The discards are both choosing to just throw 2 cards away. Don't want to see them just yet.
A nice average mulligan. I'm hoping this will be a really good game. I think this is like a fun matchup.
Very true. We get to see sort of a nice, effectively standard ReZero with a nice spicy new top end. And there it is, just the runner, Amelia. Oh, but it draws the book straight away.
I don't mind the first turn book. You know, it's easy to pay out, very accessible. It's better than the turn 2 Try Guy first trigger book.
Very true.
So this was my round 2 opponent. I think I played him round 2. Something like that. I don't really know what his deck does even to this point. It seemed like it was a lot of nothing. He had like a very average old level 1 climax combo, and then the level 3 seemed fairly average at best. But obviously he got to top 8, so he can pilot it well, and it does something clearly. So I don't know. I just kept swinging, to be honest, and it kept working.
Very, very true. And once sort of it settles down a bit more, you can sort of trim the fat away, get it more nice and lean. Quite a nice average sort of start we're getting off to. A few cancels, a cheeky bit of damage, nice slowish game.
Yeah, it's interesting. This choice trigger illustrates the strength of choice, because early game you don't want cards with soul triggers in your hand because they tend to be cards that are towards the higher end level wise. So he just goes, you know what, I'll take this dock, I'll start building this resource early. ReZero doesn't have stock swap any way to really deal with intense compression, and it's just some extra resources for me to spend late game on that big finish that we saw earlier in Swiss. Really surprisingly explosive.
Very, very true. And it's just sat there in the waiting room, ready to pop out. But there it is, the classic vanilla 3K. Can Hololive deal with this? Can it pass the test of dealing with this Amelia?
How great is it to see a vanilla in top 8?
It is absolutely fantastic, and it is a good resource as well. Just cracking it out. It doesn't matter if this dies, because he can get extra value later on in level 1.
Now, interestingly, the thing about my deck is that nothing at level 0 is particularly big, unless there's an Aqua in the center. and even that 3-5 is like not unreachable by most decks.
Yeah, but both of these decks are playing pretty fair, Weiss Schwarz. There's no like standby shenanigans. No,
My opponent does trigger a lot of climaxes this game, which is obviously a huge help for me. But being as I don't cancel for most of the game as well, it kind of doesn't matter. Make sure we've got yellow for level 1. I will always... The order of priority for leveling cards is probably the Corone is highest, like most likely to be leveled. And then the Fubuki is probably second. I will always put the Fubuki in unless I literally can't get another yellow in. So here we do the Aqua first, because it basically has no cost, and I might find a card I want to discard more than one that's already in my hand for the Fubuki. It's worth noting as well that the Aqua does not put itself into the clock. It puts a character from Waiting Room. So in this case, I put the Fubuki in, and now I have yellow-green, and I'm good for the entire rest of the game. I have no more color requirements basically for the entire rest of the game.
Being able to dictate what's in your deck, not letting your deck dictate the flow of the game to you, is an insane like lever that you can pull in a deck that has this much mill available.
Very true. And there we see Angus once again. He milled 3 more additional cards. He is just going for it. He wants to get through this deck as fast as humanly possible.
And I think at this point I had gone through so many climaxes I was actually just trying to mill out my deck more or less. How many is that? I think that's 5 I can see in there. Something like that.
You have a ton of selectivity. Like I think you look at the level 0 lineup and a lot of the cards are just okay, but it's that like there are so many cards you hit a critical mass of good zeros that they just get there. They all pull together and make it happen.
Very, very true. As we can see, the nice foil selection there in his side lanes, showing off the power of the mighty foil against quite a nice 0 board, but it isn't a level 1 board.
So here I don't really have the stock or the inclination to take a damage, so I don't really want to play over the Aqua. I don't really want to pay stock for the Brainstorm either, because my deck's getting a little thin and I don't quite want to refresh either. So we just make sure to activate the Mel. So I use the Give Power. So that's the Mel effect triggering. I revealed a Coke off the top. It's level 1 or higher, so it goes to stock. So when these go off, they just generate you stock. So I just got 5 stock off 2 attacks. Because I hit 2 level 3s off the trigger and then a choice. Because I'm playing 4 Coco, I don't really mind burying one in stock or putting one into level if I really need yellow. So I pay out the choice and then I immediately bury a choice. So now we're adding level 2 combo to hand. Rather than getting stock, because as you can see I've got about 8 stock here, 8, 9, which is enough for double Coco really.
Just deal damage through refresh points.
Very, very true. And we see it's not just Sammy here triggering a mass amount of climax. Angus did trigger a nice mass. And is it the book he has? I'm pretty sure that is the book in his hand.
Incredible. Re-Zero players, how do you do it? Send a postcard, let me know. Let me in on the secret. I want to be integrated into the magician's circle.
It is hard to tell.
So yeah, considering I'm a level 1, I've got more than enough stock for this game. So now I'm just setting up my level 2 combo.
I'm 99% certain it is the card he is looking for.
I know I'm going to take a lot of damage here equally because I've just triggered way too many climax soft attacks.
Going to memory and
in top 4, he's got to find himself the Amelia he wants. There is a nice
There's a nice selection of Amelias. Probably not the Amelias he was looking for.
True, but he does get at least that level 1 Amelia to make that sort of choice he made not too bad.
I honestly can't tell if that's a book or a bar. I am a little
is
blue-green colorblind, which makes it especially challenging.
He is playing the wish. Gonna go see how deep we're gonna go. There is another one. You want it so bad, it's right there. How is this not a snap decision from Sammy?
This isn't a snap decision. Maybe he doesn't have the book. Maybe it is the bar.
Maybe true. Really thinking on here.
Yeah,
More than I probably would have.
Players being in top 8 now, every decision is starting to count. Like there's no room for minor mistakes at this level of the tournament.
So wish is only allowed in yes. He has to salvage an X level or higher or lower. So of course there was not an Amelia in that waiting room, so he could not salvage it. I'm deeply sorry about that. But he does get that back row, that integral part of his late game.
Come on, Sammy. Let us know. Is it a book? Is it a bar?
Going to. So he's getting his nice free stock. He still has not paid out that previous book. It is still that first turn one just sat there, almost laughing it in.
So there's one book in Sammy's stock and there's 2 choices in Angus's, I believe.
Very, very true.
Actually, no, he paid one out to double trigger, so I think there's only one in there now.
Right. In a way, you can sort of mitigate this. If you get a nice critical mass of clean stock, even if one is not as clean.
Why did he play in this order? He could have paid it out if he just didn't take the clean stock first.
Very true.
A little bit of stream table nerves, perhaps?
Maybe he's forgotten it's there.
So yeah, what they're saying is, if you, let's say you're sitting on probably like 8, 9 plus stock, if one of them is a climax, it's sort of alright.
Games can blur together. What's in stock? I remember sometimes
because if you think about it, if you've got an absolute full deck of 50 cards with 8 climaxes, that is just slightly less than 1 in 5 cards is a climax. So if you take 10 cards and 1 climax out, and suddenly you've got 7 in 40, you still have a better ratio of climaxes to non-climaxes than the starting ratio. So honestly, if I bury one right at the start, I'm not going to sweat about it. Like, I'm not going to do my level 2 Mel combo just to dig out a climax. I'm not going to not do it. I'm just going to bury it, and I'm going to try and bury it as hard as possible to make sure the compression stays in my favor. The worst thing you can do is bury a climax and then not keep compressing. Your options have to be paid out or just go all in on better compression. So like the other game, I'm getting about a level a turn because I'm not really cancelling and I'm triggering most of the climaxes, and I think I just top decked the I know it was a Watame. So here we go. We double field the Mel. Here I don't really want to brainstorm because I don't have a lot of cards in my deck, and also I don't want to trigger the Mels while I don't have a full field, but I think I have to at this point.
Brainstorms, unlike a lot of other effects, they go into a resolution zone. So these 4 cards are staying out, which means I believe this is a refresh with 7.
I believe this was actually a refresh with 6 because I think I've got. Well, in fact, I am almost certain I've got the Mel climax combo in my hand. I don't remember what it's called. Something about summertime, I think. Being as I played this deck once, I didn't really know what it did. We just elect to take the backup.
It's sort of quite hard to see who is faring worse out of this game, effectively. Sammy ahead on damage, not really got much to for it in terms of hand.
It's similar to the last game with Chris, where he was like trading hand for damage.
So the trade-off here was like if I could
The line you've gotta take.
hit a third copy of the
Literally
Mel,
lay all your cards out on
then
the
I would have
table
played that instead of the
and try
Coco.
and achieve as much as you
And then,
can.
yeah, of course, instantly
We go into that race.
hit a climax.
Getting more stuff, getting it all in there.
Triggering yet another choice. That's like the choice he's triggered this game.
True.
Yeah, that's
Another
the
choice.
Yeah, and again, no
targets.
targets.
That is a staggering amount of choice he's had. He has ran out of choice.
Overrun by choice.
But he does at least get to pay one out and go
Great
for that
double
double trigger.
That's 2 soul triggers there for a big swing into a bar, perfectly blocked. He has wiped the board, which, considering the state of Sammy's hand, that's might be enough.
Maybe that was 7 in then, because
Standard
I
lead.
guess I didn't have the Mel combo. There was no reason to not play it there if I had it.
Even though we say Sammy's not really got much to show for his turns, he still has a nice, healthy amount of cards in his hand.
So again, here I'm behind on damage quite a lot,
They the ones
and it's just based on luck of who cancelled.
that Angus
Um,
played up in front of him.
Absolutely.
And while I do have a big board,
To take more damage, clocking,
Um,
using this back row that deals some damage. Just to
both players have full hands at this point, basically.
do that for so long before.
And I've just refreshed and gone through about 4 climaxes,
Not be
so I'm definitely not in the driving seat here.
Very, very true.
He can just swing into me with his guys for damage at this point,
Level 2 puck in hand, as we can see.
which I think is what ended up happening.
What is coming down? There it is. The pay one send off. Top 4 memory puck.
getting that book into refresh just in time.
It's a nice selection of potentially of only really 3 cards.
Why is he hesitating so much? Why is he leaving that card there?
Very true. He only goes 2 deep and keeps 1 alive. Which is quite strange. And once again, paying. He's digging for something quite specific, but what he's really searching for, I'm not too certain.
Gotta take his time shuffling now that he's on these upper tables.
In Sammy's head, what is he looking for? Because he seems to be searching for something quite specific. He doesn't seem to know what.
I think he's just trying to keep his compression up. Do you know what? Maybe he forgot about that book at the bottom of his stock, and he thought that that book was the last card in his deck. And so he thought that was a guaranteed brainstorm, but it wasn't.
Might have been, yes. So once again, he's probably had to reevaluate where all his stuff is, center himself down a bit. He knows roughly now what he's working with in that deck after that free fresh. Just once again, just paying out, taking a damage. He's got to get. Now he gets to search effectively all that for any Amelia. If it's got Amelia in its name, he can grab it.
Again, though, I think Sammy's dealt like 4 damage to himself this game. It's getting close to, being a full level over the course of a game, which is an insane detriment to be at.
And going for that level 1 combo again. Does he actually have the book this time?
I was looking at his list. I think it might just be his level 1 play. I don't think he's got a great backup plan that can really duel for board in these mid turns.
Very, very true. He could.
He has a gold bar in hand.
Very complex. He could have gone for a more sort of a 0, just throw it out there, throw it nicely away, and maybe bank on that Amelia later on.
I think when you're struggling for resources like this, you can't afford to wait and side around an opponent's board or crash into it, because then you start losing both cards and damage. So you just have to go for the reverses where you can get them.
And another puck. Is he going to pay for this one as well?
This one would level him. I don't think that's what he wants.
It would, but it would also get that final book out of that stock into his deck. It does not do it. Moving around, so he's foregone that effect. And this is quite tricky board to sort of try and crack. He's really only swinging and contesting one lane.
Yeah, he's trying to take out the double trigger because that's what's been causing him a lot of grief. That's where like the damage spike is. So he's just yeah, like we were describing Angus earlier. He's just trying to stem the bleeding a little bit. Now that the damage is even, he's starting to lose out on card advantage. He's like on the back foot now, trying to break back in.
And Angus is just denying every bit of damage being thrown at him. Just no, no, no. Does take that damage, but it's piddly's amount. There is only 4 damage really separating both of these players. The game has ground to a very slow mid.
Yeah, Angus has an insane resource advantage here. And so as long as he's not falling too far behind in damage, he's pretty happy that the game stays where it is. He's happy to coast, and his finisher does have a lot more reach than the ReZero finisher, which is either clock kick or burn 2 against.
So yeah, I think I've got about 8 cards in my waiting room now, and 4 of them are climaxes. So here I just want to refresh my deck as quick as possible. And I think I was also somewhat hunting for the Watame. This is just me explaining to my opponent that it loses the color requirement when I've got 4 or more, but I had blue and clock anyway, so it didn't really matter.
So fun quirk about this early play. Even though Angus does have the color requirement here, you don't need it to play the early play. That's just part of its effect. So this early play heal is a card that you are likely to see in every single build of Hololive because it is playable in every single build of Hololive, regardless of what your color setup is.
And there we go. We see Angus just burning through that nice amount of stock he's generated over these few turns, just happily to cast it all away, find the pieces he needs for that end game, and just really stabilize.
And this is where I realize I don't have a single Coco, or the Watame, or the Hatchma engrave.
Including an anti-change counter, but they're all quite expensive. Sammy's not really in a position to be splurging out on it right now, so it will just be generating a lot of value both on.
So I decide just to get a +1. Or do I? I don't. No, okay. I got an extra heal just in case it comes down to that.
I wonder if he'll play over something here, or if he's happy to rest on his laurels a little bit.
At this point, he gets to choose either. No, if I was in his shoes, I probably would just sit back. No really any need to just sort of stretch himself out.
There's the Watame I was looking for at the start.
Does go for that brainstorm. That is a very good brainstorm.
Yeah.
I do wonder if he was trying to mill because he thought he was decompressed, or if he knew that his deck was so climax dense that he didn't want to be triggering even more choices this time.
Very true.
Technically, it was both. At the start of the turn, I was incredibly decompressed. Let's not forget, I went through 12 cards of Brainstorm there. I had about 8 stock, 7 hand, so that was probably about a 30 card deck, and I went through half of that basically in Brainstorm. It wasn't particularly lucky that I hit 2 climaxes across 12 cards. But yeah, I was incredibly uncompressed, and then when it got to the final Brainstorm, I was very compressed, and I was going to trigger them. So the best plan for me is just to try and get them out as much as possible.
There's so many cards, so many more cards on the left side of the screen.
I think I spent 4 stock that entire turn to 4 to refresh my deck basically. And I'm going to get 3 back. So really, across the whole turn, I spent 1 stock in order to refresh my deck and play a character.
I think it would be really scary to hit Angus, like just hit Angus to 3, like focus on damage here, that with Brainstorm hurts.
He's not really wants to see there.
Yeah, I think he has to be careful because, as we saw earlier, Hololive's finisher can be pretty explosive. If Sammy hits Angus up to 3, Angus could conceivably kill him on the swing back from 2-5, which, you know, that's like the gold standard of some finishers. I think it's like all in a day's work for this Hololive top end.
Very, very true.
One thing I will say is in this tournament, I think it was round 1, I killed my opponent from 2-1 with a single Coco. And 2 other attackers, obviously. So there is reach, but it is somewhat luck-based. It's not Zombieland Saga reach. So I don't believe I got to see his level 3s the first time we played. So this is my first time seeing the level 3 lineup. And here I was thinking I was pretty good because he had basically no stock and I think 2 cards in hand. And he still managed to field an entire field, play a climax for more damage, and also get 3 cards into hand. So that was it was an unexpected turn, but it was within margin for error because well, I was still level 2.
Yeah, it's tough. He needs to deal damage as much as possible.
I think he is considering paying that extra stock right there with that back row. I know he's paying it, sending those 2 off to memories, and in comes the Amelia, if my memory serves, the back row Amelia. Yes, there it is. And he plays it up front. He'd be almost forced to play it up front. Grabbing himself an extra Amelia along the way, thanks to that back row. Well, front row now.
Okay, yeah, he's saving that. We're not in measures quite that desperate yet.
Still has really got to think, what is he going to do with this turn? Got himself a bit more to play with, but not really all that much. It's not amazing.
It's one of those, like, the fewer choices you seem to have, the more the fewer cards you have in front of you, the more options seem to like open in front of you because you're in like such a tough position that you're having to like double think every step. So he does finally have his level 1 final score.
Very, very late. This is almost as late as you could possibly really want it to go.
So here I was confirming powers, and I realized I couldn't get over his level 3 with the backup. I would have to anti-change it if I wanted to. And this close to the end of the game, I don't really want to be paying the stock or the hand for that. And I also don't want to be reversing his characters on my turn. Because I need to reverse them for Coco, and I don't have Toa this time. I think it was my first or my second stock. So that's just not coming back in time for my level 3 turn. So at this point I just let him go. After the level 3's attack, there's no point even trying to change because it's just you're just negging at that point.
That's not the climax trigger he wanted to see. I think he'd much rather see a character in hand than a climax at this stage in the game. Although it is his finisher.
Yes, indeed. So he has found one piece of that puzzle. So if he gets the other level 3 Amelia from his Amelia level 1 combo, he's pretty much halfway there.
That mysterious hand from off-screen is our resident judge. Don't worry about that. Nothing untoward going on.
Just cleaning up that memory, just making it a bit more visually appealing so everyone knows where.
I did get very lucky with cancelling off the top there, though.
Angus has enough of like a strong position here that he doesn't mind if he triple cancels and can't hit level 3 because he has him
deep. 2, 3. There it is, the Amelia level 3.
That's also last snap take, right? I don't see any reason not to. Yeah.
Did and ah there. You see him hovering on that vanilla. Could old Reliable have done the job for him?
I mean, yeah, when you're on top table.
And here, because I've got a fresh deck, I choose to use the leaf counter.
Start to double think every single time. It's challenging.
Just to have a better chance at cancelling.
Even if Sammy does win this game, he's gonna be pretty mentally drained going into his next one.
Very true. And Angus does slam on this. It's been quite a breeze from him. He's had a bye last round, so he's quite fresh, whereas Sammy has had to fight his way through previous rounds. There he is, happily going up to level 3. Can he just finish it outright, like we saw previously in this day? This is just absolutely stunningly brutal. Does he have the cocoa in hand? Is it there? Is it live? Digging a bit deep. There it is.
So I just clock and draw the cocoa and the climax.
This will be a good test if he does decide to go for it. I mean, Angus is a more experienced pilot than us, so he'll know the range of this finisher better than we do. Maybe he'll look at 2-4 and go, that's too far, and he'll hold off for one more turn.
It does
Looks
not look like it.
all right. I guess he's confident in it.
So
Is he going to go for the double?
here,
Or maybe even the triple?
I sort of decided.
As expensive as it is, does he count it?
Well, so this is
I think it's this. I think I give him another turn.
and this is why so many people like this combo is even if
Yeah, I'm looking through my waiting room here. 1. I have 1 climax in waiting room, and I think 2 in hand.
one lane where you do all the instances that you can afford, and then the
And
other
it's very unlikely I kill him this turn.
Very true.
So I think I decide this turn to not go for it.
See if he can fight down that puck.
making sure to kill this early play because of the state of Sammy's hand, every card counts now. Every reverse matters. Angus can like pour resources into making sure that puck goes away.
Very, very true. Angus just really taking it brutally. Oh, but he did not have the combo. Just slamming it right there. And almost the exact thing of happening to Sammy, triggering the combo that he really wanted in hand.
So yeah, I'm out 3 climaxes now with a deck of about somewhere between 15 and 20.
Like we've been saying,
So there's
deck doesn't have
5,
so
about 1 in 4 basically of triggering a climax.
getting that down
I should live another turn with a deck with no real finishing combo.
faithful 3-0. No one's ever died from 3-0. It's never happened in the history of Weiss Schwarz.
Exactly. It's certainly never happened today. As you can see, just damage pouring out of Sammy left and right. He's still just not got anything to show for himself. This is absolutely the reverse of his previous game that we did see.
So that's the refresh point up to level 3. Don't think Angus has kill potential here, but he could definitely deal some damage.
Definitely make him feel the pain. Even though
At this point, I've decided I'm never going to use a stock swap, so that's fine to get rid of.
Sammy has pretty much he has no cards in hand, and he'll have that 1 puck in his back row, and whatever cards he draws.
Is Angus aware that Choice has the second move where you can add the card to hand? Is his hand really that set up that he has never needed a level 2 or higher for the entire game? Okay, he does have 7 cards in hand,
He
alright.
does have a stack of line
For what it's worth, earlier in the game, I did add my level 2 combo to my hand. But yeah, the stock is way more important, especially when I'm sitting at 7 cards anyway.
He has 1 open lane if he wishes to do the burn too.
I see him climax, and I'm like, this is probably okay, because it's hard for him to swing for
That puck was just
7 without a climax.
good cross turn advantage.
Plus, it means it's 1 extra that's not in the deck.
Power buff. There it is. The Amelia. Does seem he wants to go for the clock kick.
I mean,
Where he's currently positioned.
he's got his back against the wall, right?
So I think at this point, my opponent sort of decided this is his final turn as well, so he's just going which
Even if he doesn't kill this turn, just
yeah, I'm not. It's been a couple of days now, so I'm not too sure the state of his deck at this point. But I think he's probably got about 3 or 4 in. I might well make the exact same decision in his position. You just have to get lucky with a couple of 2 solo attacks, and you win.
he possibly can.
So he's got to go for it.
In Angus's right-hand lane, just because
Because I left an open lane, though, I can guarantee that he's going to have 1 character on the field at the end of the game, unless he wants to attack twice, and in which case I'm still probably fine. I think I'm sitting with 2 or 3 Coco in hand here, and the climax. I was debating triple Coco here, I think.
yeah, he needs the reach here. He can't afford luxuries like the clock kick, I think.
3 damage currently coming at him.
Double checking if the effect is on attack or after the attack.
Mirror Treatment is on attack, so there is the discard. So 2 damage. Thank you, sir. Angus says no to that with the Coco climax.
Pinging the climax off for this big soul attack. It's a goal.
Ooh.
That's ouch. That stings.
So
Cancel straight away.
in some ways, him triggering climax is not amazing for me, in that it means my Icy Tail is now more likely to miss. But it's obviously it's very good because it means the attack's more likely to hit. And, you know, swinging for 3 is probably going to be doing more damage on average than an Icy Tail.
Fuzzy bad 3 though. This last attack.
I think if you do the effect 6 times, 3 is a good result. And if you're attacked for 3 and that sticks instead, then you just take that instead. So here I'm looking at it, I'm like, I've drawn the climax again, which I can't really get back into my deck. So I know this is absolutely my final turn now, because after the refresh I'm going to be incredibly uncompressed.
I think he had the climax in hand and he just chose to hold it back last turn because he didn't have kill potential.
Yeah, I did.
He's just sandbagging. Yeah, that's definitely the right climax.
Does indeed. He has the Coco herself right there.
This has got to be the turn. I don't see a reason to hold back any longer.
Very, very true.
I don't quite recall what I was thinking about here. I was double checking powers. I think I was thinking about, do I have to Fubuki first?
Maybe held off last turn thinking, let's see how it goes.
I think I was thinking about going for a Watame for a second Coco, and I believe I did eventually.
Push out of my Cocos. If it survives the next turn, I could potentially have 2.
Yeah, just counting his stocks. So if you're unfamiliar, this climax combo on reverse, you can
Yeah, because I'm sitting with 2 climaxes in hand.
up to 5 times, and for each time you do +1, Sammy will know the bottom 3 cards of his deck, and for the number of climaxes he'll burn. So that's a potential. What's 6 times 3? 18.
The problem here is I'm negging hand for this.
And the number of climaxes milled with that equal instances. It's a really interesting effect. I think a lot of people looked at it and had very like polarized reactions. People either thought it was great or terrible.
There it is. And it does seem Angus is going for the double. If anything, there's that to go by. He's grabbed another.
Yeah, so because it's X +1, the second one he can pay for 0 times and he'll still get 1 instant. And because the effect is on reverse, he could even pay for 1 5 times and pay for the second once. If he has that many cards in hand, I don't think he does. I think that's the limiting factor here.
In fact, if he even does it, could he do 5 once and then 1 on the other? He's got free stock at the moment. Generate another additional amount of stock.
That's 4 cards. Maybe now, at long last, he is actually looking for choice triggers.
So this was a mistake. I should have added to hand here.
Exactly where he wants.
I put it in stock,
Slam
but I should absolutely have added that to hand.
That's more burns for the Coco.
Did he not want that in hand?
Yeah, this is absolutely a mistake.
I think he's going more for the stock. His hand is is pretty much still full to bursting.
Yeah, he's just going for 5 on the second one. If this, yeah, so that swing stuck. So he only needs to deal 2 damage now. So now he's like, okay, I can go all in.
Yeah, here we see ditching the
Yeah.
full hand,
There it goes.
all of it, all paid for.
Yeah, he could
Here
have
it
gotten
comes.
an extra one if he just chose to choice that card to hand instead of to stocks. That's potentially a misplay there from one of our top 8 players. We'll have to talk to him later, double check what he was thinking.
So there we are, the first one, nothing on there. Second one.
Yeah, I straight up made a mistake there. Part of it is that I'm still sort of new with this deck. You know, I've only been playing it for a couple of weeks now.
Straight there.
Um,
All the climbing
oh, this was disgusting. My opponent got so lucky with these cancels.
Just burning through that deck. He still has an attack to go for.
I think he cancelled 2 of the burns out of 5.
into waiting room. So
And considering, like, I think 2 other ones, like, whiffed, I think I paid for and ditched my entire hand to do burn 1.
and then the refresh point.
And then still has 1 instance left to go through, because that will only be the 4th instance of the
But yeah, I'm still somewhat new with the deck. It was the end of a long tournament. I didn't get a lot of sleep the night before. But yeah, no, it was just straight up a mistake.
So much damage coming at him. There it is, the 2, nothing. A refresh point coming down. Oh no, we have to keep doing the effect. So there is the 1. And then the refresh point.
That's the burn from the mill, and now the refresh. There we go. So he's got to do.
So this is where my final attack comes in, and I was hoping to trigger another choice, because I made the mistake, but it just stuck and I win. So
Swing gets there.
He has shown once again that this combo is absolutely devastating, just tearing your opponent's deck from the bottom and the top. This
So
is brutal.
the story of 2 combos there: the missing Amelia combo, then the showing up Hololive finisher.
Very, very true. And both players in this top 8, even though Sammy is now out, doesn't walk away empty-handed. Still walks away with a nice selection of prizes from our sponsors.
Absolutely, and a great game. Definitely, Sammy, if you're watching this on the VOD, don't feel bad. You performed admirably. Did yourself and your series proud.
Very, very true. So thank both of you guys. Angus, let's see how much you can go. Sammy, you've had a really good day. You've enjoyed yourself some nice food later and a good old rest.
Absolutely. So again, brief intermission, and then we'll be back with the top 4 semi-finals game. Don't go anywhere.
So I want to just thank both our casters and both of my opponents that are on stream for some good games and some nice commentary. And I want to thank you guys for watching this video.